Hello, good evening, welcome, hi.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah,
Good.
pretty good. Starting to warm up.
I know, yay, same here. It's still cool, but it is starting to get better, and I'm fingers crossed, but we probably will get more snow, but I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that it'll be.
God, I hope not.
Me too.
My car's still in the shop.
Still,
Yeah, still. I'm dying over here.
no.
I got no wheels. It's been 2 weeks.
Oh, what
Yeah.
are you going to do?
I work from home, so it's
Yeah, that helps.
yeah. And there's another car I could take, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Well,
Yeah. I hate not having one.
hmm,
It's not like I don't
sorry.
go. It's not like I go a lot of places. I'm a pretty much a homebody and I work from home, but it's the thought that you can't.
Yeah. Aw, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Hello, chat. Hi, welcome. Solid Caesar and Saltine, Green Emerald, Tori, Alphafa, Fax Machine. Hello.
Saltine, that's a new one.
Hello
I
to,
love the food names.
I know it's very cute, Saltine Cracker.
Yes.
Hello to any lurkers. Welcome. Um, yeah, so the topic that won the poll vote was what the heck is going on with Gen Z?
Those dang
So
kids.
I know kids these days. Get off my lawn.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's somewhat of a short-ish article that we'll look at, and then we'll just vibe and chat for a bit, and yeah, see where we get.
Sweet.
Oh, Lily's a Gen Z. Hi,
Yeah.
Lily. Hi, Secret Shade. Hi, Gabriel. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. So I think that should be good. Yes, yes.
Good for me.
Cool. All right. So Gen Z's search for fulfillment, less sex and more porn, and a deep desire for friendship.
Hmm.
I don't know about more porn, but
I know, like, the reason this interested me is because they say that here, but then there's other articles saying that Gen Z is like the most non-sexual generation, but
yeah.
maybe it's because they don't actually have physical sex. They just rely on online porn or just outlets online. I don't know.
Guess we'll find out maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So, contrary to the over sexualized depictions of teenagers in shows like Euphoria and Riverdale, have you seen either of those shows, Existential Gamer?
No, and I
Me
don't want to.
neither. Me neither. Where
Sorry for all you Riverdale and Euphoria fans, but uh 90210 was what was popular when I was young.
yeah,
And
Saved by the Bell.
I mean, Saved by the Bell was very tame, but like I didn't
Yeah.
even like 90210 because I watched it and the first thing I thought was this is a bunch of horse shit. And it made me mad. It made me mad to watch it because it was like there was like 35-year-old actors and like none of the storylines were realistic. And I'm like, do these people even talk to teenagers at all? The people who write this. So I can't imagine it's gotten any better.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So Generation Z, it pains me to say that as a Canadian because I say Z. But
Oh, you do the British thing of saying Zed.
yeah.
I kind of feel like we should say Zed too. It just sounds cooler.
Okay, Gen Z, born between 97 and 2012, is tired of seeing sex on screen.
Yeah, I've
Interesting.
heard that.
According to Teens and Screens 2023, a recent report from UCLA, nearly half of Gen Z respondents say that showing sex is not necessary to the plot of a movie or TV show. I agree with that.
Mm.
Many of them also believe romance is overused in media. What do these young people want to see on screen instead? Friendship. How wholesome.
Friendship is magic.
It is. This data is especially interesting in light of another social trend. The number of teenagers having sex has gone down in recent years. Whereas,
Okay. Yeah,
interesting, eh?
this is what I was talking about.
Yes.
I've heard this elsewhere.
Yeah. Whereas the majority of teens in the 1990s had lost their virginity by the time they graduated high school, that is not the case today. Fewer than 40% of today's American high schoolers have ever had sex. Interesting. Does this mean Gen Z is charting a different course than previous generations and seeking authentic friendship rather than sexual relationships during their youth? Unfortunately, the data tells a different story. Instead of becoming sexually active in their high school years, today's teens are turning to pornography.
Yeah. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I'd rather teens just fool around in high school like we used to do. I mean,
Like normal teenagers.
like no, right. Like that's natural. Like that's normal. Obviously be safe and
Yeah.
be careful and all that stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is alarming. You can't, it's like that whole AI thing and the porn thing. You can't replace human relationships with this stuff.
Yeah. This is shocking. In a survey of 13 to 17-year-olds, Common Sense Media found that nearly half of teens are intentionally viewing porn, with an additional 14% viewing it unintentionally. Oh boy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The average age at which teens are first being exposed to pornography is now only 12 years old, with 15% of respondents reporting that the first time they saw porn, they were under 10.
Yeah.
I was also under 10 the first time I saw pornography. Ugh.
So was I, but it was unintentional.
Yeah,
I
same.
didn't seek it out.
No, we didn't really
Yeah.
necessarily have the ability to it when we were kids because the internet didn't exist.
Yes. Finding your uncle's stash or whatever is
Exactly,
so different than,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Bad times. Under 10, yeah.
Yeah.
So what exactly has changed in the way that young people relate to sex and relationships? Is this change for the better or worse? And most importantly, what can be done about it? So the good, why it benefits teens to wait to have sex. Before discussing the issue that Gen Z faces on this front, it's important to underscore the myriad of benefits of teenagers being largely abstinent. Having sex at a young age can have negative effects on mental health, especially for girls. Mm-hmm. Studies show casual sex can worsen self-esteem, increase rates of suicidal ideation, and create physical and mood-related problems which ripple into adulthood.
Where's all the sex positivity?
Yeah, this doesn't sound very sex-posy to me.
No. I thought it was supposed to be empowering to let boys just use your body, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool. Just relax. Ugh.
Be a cool girl.
Yeah.
Everyone will
Gross.
love you.
So the population that experiences the most dramatic difficulties from sex is girls under the age of 16. Man, under the age of 16. That just seems so young to me.
Yeah,
like
I think it's pretty young.
They're
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. I mean, not to be TMI, but like 17, senior year in high school.
Yeah.
Was the age that happened for me. And that was after a long time of not being ready. But then something changed in senior year. You know, I was almost ready. My birthday's in June, so I turned 18 at the end of senior year. And I was like, all right, I feel before that though, I was like, no way.
Yeah, 17, 18 seems whatever, I guess, to me. But like 15, 14, 13, that freaks me out.
Yeah, me too. I remember talking to some girls in high school, in home ec class, actually. And they were talking about the ages they were. And one girl said she was 15. And at the time I had never. So I was like, oh, I'm still a virgin, whatever. And she's like, yeah, she's like, definitely don't do it. Because I wish I had not done it. I'm like, oh. She just didn't seem very happy about having done it.
Yeah. Well, and
it was a very honest conversation between the girls.
That's good. That's good. And I feel like I feel so bad for teenage girls because what they are wanting out of their boyfriends or whatever, like those teenage boys are never ever going to provide for them. Like intimacy, closeness, care,
That's
bonding.
the thing. Like, is it this act of sex itself that damages
Mhm.
self-esteem, or is it because they're doing it with boys who don't think of them as human?
I think it's the latter.
Right. And it's like they don't care about their pleasure. They're just objects to these, like, notches on the bedpost for these boys, like
Mhm.
bases to run around, basically,
Yeah.
and they don't give a crap.
Mm,
So that's I think that's the biggest issue. It's not
yeah.
literally the act of sex because as long as you feel ready and you're comfortable and stuff, that shouldn't be like it shouldn't be so traumatic that you're losing your self-esteem. But if you're with a partner that doesn't give a crap about you, well, there you go.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Ren. Hello, Drew. Hello, Sasha.
Got a lot of new names tonight, at least for
Yes.
me. They might be I mean,
Hi, Sasha. Sasha is a prolific red femme in her own right.
okay, yes.
Hi, hi. All right, let's continue. So this group, so girls under the age of 16, faces increased rates of depression or anxiety after they become sexually active, which makes sense given the hormonal differences in the way that men and women react to sex. Women experience intense emotional bonding after sexual experiences, which means that if they later break up with their partner or are ignored by him at school the next day, as in the case of teens, they often feel emotionally vulnerable and anxious. Adult women experience these effects too, but for the teenage brain that is still developing, the effects are more profound.
I've
Mm,
always hated this. I'm not saying that the hormonal differences don't exist, but I find that boys and men are just given a pass to
yeah,
treat the women they have sex with just abhorrently.
I
Like,
agree.
oh, I can't help it. You get emotionally bonded, but I get post nut clarity. And then I look at you and you're ugly. And I'm done with you. Like, is
Mhm.
that really your hormonal response? Or is that just what you've been uh,
Well,
taught and you're allowed to get away with that because you're a guy?
a, a little bit of that, a little bit of A, a little bit of B, I think. Because I
Yeah.
think it's true that like men don't release oxytocin.
Sure. But do they have to be so cruel
Well,
after?
no, certainly not. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
That's not a pass at all. Just,
Mm.
I think,
I know you don't think so. I'm just kind of arguing at the
yeah, yeah,
void.
yeah.
Like, like why do they just make so many excuses for guys to treat the women they sleep with like that? And
Mm-hmm.
and the woman's the one that her friends call her like clingy and crazy. Oh
Mm,
yeah, she went off the deep end at like ugh, whatever. She's just way too clingy. She's stage 5. I got to dump her.
yeah. But she literally can't help it. Like, that's literally her brain doing it.
Plus, it's just so intimate,
Yeah.
especially for a young girl who it might be her first or a handful of first experiences, and she might
Mhm.
really like this boy, and might have taken her a lot to get to that, like to
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable. I mean, I remember being a teenager. I'm old now, but it's not like you forget.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, I just feel bad for these girls.
So, from a physical health standpoint, it's also advantageous for young people to wait to have sex.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
Teen pregnancy rates have been falling since 1991. Unfortunately, the falling rates of teen sexuality are not analogous to rates of sexually transmitted infections, as STI rates have actually increased since the mid 2010s.
Hmm.
While the increase in STI rates is a topic for another day, National Geographic explores some potential reasons for it, including some cases of STIs going undiagnosed during the pandemic.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
so? I wonder why STIs are increasing.
Well, they didn't specify here that the STI rates among teens. It just sounds like
That's
STI
true.
rates across the board,
That's
which
true.
you know what? I wonder because okay, so we grew up with the AIDS panic, right?
Uh-huh.
And then there was a time where everybody was like, oh, actually, now AIDS is no big deal, NBD. And
Mm.
when I was young, it was very common to use a condom and stuff and like
Yeah.
protection. And I think ever since people started spreading the fact that HIV is not a big deal anymore and it doesn't kill you when you can just take antivirals and you're fine. And I've seen a lot of like especially guys, not want to use any protection at all.
Eh,
None. Even for one night stands. It's like you see it online all the time,
gross.
which wasn't the case back in the day. It was like if you were going to pick someone up at a bar or whatever, you're definitely going to use a condom at least. Like
Yeah.
craziness. But there's an attitude shift. Oh, yeah.
Drew says STI increase could be part of hookup culture, which I do find to be overall bad. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
but I feel like the hookup culture, when it was really starting in earnest in the aughts, there
Mm,
was still an emphasis on protection, and that just slowly dropped off. Like as time marched on, it's almost like people don't take it seriously at all. You're
yeah.
weird if you ask for an STI panel.
Yeah, I've definitely like heard that. Like I don't and have never had sex with men. I'm a lesbian, but like I have a lot of straight friends and yeah, like I have had
Hmm.
my friends tell me that like yeah, they are considered weird or looked down on if they want to have sex with a condom, which
Right.
is
And a lot of these guys are
crazy.
like even slipping the condoms off like
Oh yeah,
during.
stealthing. That's
Yeah, and that's
crazy.
I mean, maybe we just didn't hear about it back when we were younger, but like I just feel like you hear about it way more now, like guys pressuring, like they're like, "Oh, just get on the pill, it's fine," but that doesn't protect you from
Yeah, there's
STIs.
lots of stuff that could go wrong here.
Right. Especially if you just literally just started dating someone and then with the apps, you've got people out there seeing other people while they're dating people, and
Mm,
you never know, like you meet a guy on an app and you think you're exclusive or whatever, but he's not being exclusive at all,
yeah.
bringing home whatever, and he's like, oh, I don't, we've been together for 3 months and I love you and I don't want to wear a condom. It's like, ugh.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
And
go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No.
uh STIs affect men, but they affect women way worse
Mm,
just due to biology, right?
yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the laissez-faire attitude is because men aren't like super, I mean, they get, they get STIs here and there. They might get herpes or the clap or whatever, but they're not going to get like HPV, which causes cervical cancer, which girls
Right.
can get. you know the worst of it isn't.
Or I've also heard of people getting throat cancer from
Yeah,
oral sex, which is crazy. Or jaw cancer, even
right.
jaw. Ah!
It's crazy. Yeah, but I mean, aside from like gay men who also run the risk that women do, but usually it's like the receptive partner, right? Whoever's taking it into their body is going to be more at risk because
Yeah.
that's where the diseased material is going to go. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
There's two comments that I wanted to talk about. Green Emerald pointed out maybe teens are having less sex, but the ones who do have sex aren't using proper protection. So maybe that's
hmm.
contributing to a rise in rates. And then Alphafa, I hope I say that right. She said, could it also be that people still don't consider some forms of sex as real sex and therefore don't report as such? It's interesting.
Oh, like the loophole, the Mormon
Right.
loophole.
If
Yeah.
yeah, if you're soaking like Mormons
So
or yeah, oral sex or digital sex, like they're not
right.
considering it sex.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, let's see. So, the sizable portion of young people who remain abstinent are avoiding the physical health effects that come with STIs or teen pregnancy, in addition to the social and economic effects. So, it is largely a boon for teens to wait to have sex.
Yeah. I mean, I
So,
can't argue with that. Even
yeah.
though I don't, using porn at such a young age obviously
Mhm.
is terrible, but
Yeah.
less teen pregnancies and STIs is good.
Yep. So, the bad. What has replaced teenage sexual behavior?
Mm.
This all sounds very promising, but anyone who is paying attention to the social culture of Gen Z can see that issues are bubbling up beneath the surface. Today's teens are spending less time with friends and most of their free time alone on screens. They're struggling with depression, anxiety, and body image issues. They're finding it difficult to make and keep friends, which is why the majority of them are clamoring for more models of friendship on screen.
Yeah. I have a new subreddit that I'm a little obsessed with,
Oh,
and it's called Lost a Friend.
oh,
And there's all kinds of stories there from people who are either cutting off friends or got cut off by friends. And I always find it just very fascinating because a lot of the people that are on there are Gen Z, they're young people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you kind of want a snapshot of friendship dynamics in the younger generation, lost a friend. Yeah.
Interesting. R
It is.
slash lost a friend.
Yep.
Okay. So
And some,
now, go
yes.
ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sometimes you read those threads and it's like these poor kids, like they seem like they have a really hard time connecting with other people
Mm,
or like knowing so like social norms and stuff on both sides, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of that too, even in threads or Reddit's like, am I overreacting?
yeah, yeah.
I see a lot of that kind of thing happening there.
Yeah. Yeah, I find like it's one of two extremes. So like either I see someone on am I overreacting or lost a friend who's just very like very strict, like the very first thing that the person says, they're like, F you, you know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna cut you off and this, you know, or or they have no boundaries at all and they allow the most like out of pocket shit ever. And then they're like, am I overreacting?
Yeah.
This
You know,
person is literally heinous and they're just like very unsure. Just
yeah. Well, and this just on screen, it also makes me think of when I have been reading those, like, am I overreacting or whatever? And people will include a ton of screenshots of their text conversations. But
mm-hmm.
the thing that freaks me out is when it's like a girlfriend or a boyfriend asking, am I overreacting to my partner, blah, blah, blah. And like they live together,
I
but they're
know.
having these fights over text.
That's what I think. Like, why aren't you having these discussions in person?
Yeah, and they live together. That's crazy to
It
me.
is crazy. But even if you don't live with, like, if
Oh
you're
yeah, even if you don't, but
like, if you want to, if you need to talk to your girlfriend or whatever, just call her.
right.
Like, why are you writing these giant dissertations over text?
It's so weird and not, yeah, having a face to face or a voice call, fine. But like, especially
Yeah.
when you live in the same house,
I mean,
you
that's
can't
just
talk to
insane.
one another.
Right,
That's
right.
freaky.
And it's really serious stuff that you shouldn't just
Yes.
leave to texting, you know? Really
Yes.
serious relationship stuff.
Yeah. So weird. On the flip side of that, then there's the seriously deep conversations over text where they like type like crazy. They'll be like you're, but it's you are. They'll be like,
No.
you're making me really uncomfy right now.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
like,
like yeah.
how are you having this serious conversation when like this is what you're saying to the person? Like,
You're making me really, really uncomfy, Oren.
what? So
Yeah,
crazy.
that's the first camp I was talking about. The ones that
Mhm.
they like reject any of that. They're like, no, I'm uncomfy. No, I'm not gonna do this. It's almost like they're avoidant in a way. Like
Yes.
they don't want to have any deep or hard conversations. And then you've got the other side that just like allow these toxic people to just spew at them either
Mhm.
over text or otherwise. And then they ask everybody else, like, oh, was I wrong? Like, this person sucks.
Yeah.
Like, no, you weren't wrong.
Oy.
Oh, y'all need to like get in-person friendships. I know it's easier said
Mhm.
than done, but geez.
Yeah. Well, it seems like now, pair all of that with the abundance of readily accessible pornography, which is wreaking havoc on an entire generation. Over
Mhm.
70% of teens have consumed pornography, with many of them reporting that they accessed porn either at school or with a school issued device.
Wow. Holy
Whoa.
shit. Holy
That's
listen,
crazy to me. Are they not afraid of anything? Well, they're not. That's the thing.
no.
I think about when I was in high school 18
Yeah.
years ago. And I think about like I was like scared of my teachers like seeing me on like fandom live journal groups, you
Right,
know?
right. You
Like,
just it was known. You didn't go on the computer for any personal shit.
yeah, but uh, are you on a school or at school or a school issued device? looking up pornography.
It's
Oh my
like
God.
it's like those stories of the guys that get fired because they go on porn
At
sites
work?
on their work
What
laptops.
the fuck is going on? Does like,
Right. How do you listen? I'm not going to sit up here and say that I've never, even when I was a kid, viewed pornography, but
mhm.
it's almost like back when we were younger and when the internet was newer, there was this understanding that you did not do any of that stuff
It
in
was
a
hush hush and kind of
yeah,
embarrassing and shameful.
you didn't do it at school or on a work
Certainly
computer,
not.
you
Oh
know,
my
like
God.
or a work phone or whatever. Like there's just no care or thought. And the IT department sees everything you do, by the way, for all of you people
Mhm.
working jobs with work computers. They see everything you do. I don't even go on my bank or do my errands on my work computer ever. I don't
No.
even go on Facebook. Like, don't do
No
it.
way. No way.
Not
Oh
that I
my
really
God.
use Facebook these days, but you know what I mean. I don't go on
Mhm.
social media. I don't listen to YouTube on my work computer. Like, I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. That
It's
is
just
shocking to me.
the only time I'll shop is we've got like a special employee shop that we do
Yeah.
where we can spend points that we've earned, which is
Mhm.
pretty neat. That's it. If I need to go on Amazon, I'll go on my personal phone and go on or whatever.
Man. So, with the average age of exposure now being only 12, it's not uncommon for even middle school students to be consuming pornography and showing it to their classmates, making it nearly unavoidable for this generation. Ugh.
Yeah, and they're allowed to do it. I mean, have
Yeah.
you seen the horror stories that teachers write about
Oh, yeah.
kids these days? Like they're not they don't even have to surrender their phones. They're not allowed to be punished for it like at
Mhm.
all. They're allowed to sexually harass their teachers and female
Mhm.
classmates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like the r/teachers.
Yeah, that's another
Lots.
subreddit that
Me too.
I'm
I love that one as
obsessed
well.
with, like, the horrors.
Yes, there's so many horrors. Like, I had a healthy fear of my teachers because my teachers would tell my parents if I did anything crazy, like, but
Right.
it seems like, oh, I feel so like kids these days, but it seems like they really do not give a fuck
I
because,
feel like they can't. They're not able to give a
no,
fuck.
I mean, the kids don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah, but, like, administration won't let teachers
Do anything.
do
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, 'cause people like to blame the technology. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, we're just helpless against the tech. What are you gonna do?" But if schools and workplaces really came down like gangbusters on this stuff,
Mhm.
it wouldn't I don't think it'd be much of a problem, but they don't
Yeah.
'cause
I've
they
seen a
can't.
lot of teachers say stuff like even like they're not even allowed to like when I was a teenager, like if you were fucking around in class, the teacher would make you go out and sit in the hallway,
Yeah.
to leave everyone alone. But they're not even allowed to do that now.
No, they're not allowed to do anything.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. So
Really.
there you go. It's not just the technology.
Hmm. So, from a young and impressionable age, children and teenagers are being exposed to what experts call a drug for the mind, creating feedback loops of cravings and desire that over time will desensitize an individual to the images they are seeing. This can actually change the brain by creating neural pathways that normalize the sexual objectification of others. Let's be real, of women.
Uh-huh.
Ample research has shown that frequent porn users are more likely to dehumanize others. Frequent porn users who are men, because let's be
Right.
real, are more
Right.
likely to dehumanize others, support aggressive acts against women, blame the victims of sexual assault, and even commit more sexually violent acts themselves.
Yeah. This is a boys' problem.
Yes. This reminds me, I have a thing I briefly saw. Did I bookmark it? Let me see. Um, I saw a thing the other day about, maybe I didn't bookmark it, about how there was like some study done where they talked to teenage boys and they gave them a scenario and they asked, is this a real domestic violence scenario that happened, or is this a scene from a pornographic film?
Hmm.
And they mostly couldn't distinguish the two. Where did I see
Holy
that?
holy shit.
Yeah. Where did I see?
Yeah, fax machine. The girls internalize it. It's not like it's any like it. I think it's even worse for the girls, even though the boys are getting brain rotted and becoming like cavemen and shit, and uncontrollable. But like, yeah, the girls do internalize it.
Yes. I found it, by the way. We can maybe look
Ooh,
at that in a second.
yeah.
It's really short.
Mm-hmm.
We could look at that in a sec after we finish this.
Mm.
Um, okay, so our culture as a whole is affected by the normalization of pornography by the way it skews how we view love and relationships. Porn users have significantly less satisfaction in their romantic relationships, as it leads to them feeling less committed to their partners and being more accepting of cheating. This is because pornography acts like a wedge between two people in a relationship, breaking down the foundation of trust that is essential in building any relationship, especially a marriage. Hmm.
Mm. Hmm.
For the 45% of teenagers who feel that porn gives them helpful information about sex, in what world?
They don't
This,
know any better. Like
that's right.
they're just children. That this is all they know. Like, of course they're gonna think, oh, it's a manual for sex. Because they're
Mhm.
stupid. They're teenagers. What
Yes.
they don't know anything.
This means that they are taking their cues from a false, unloving digital image of sexuality. This leads teens to thinking that sexual violence is a normal part of intimacy, setting up an uneasy future as they come into adulthood and begin considering more serious romantic relationships. Rather than viewing a relationship as a place of mutual love and care for one another, those who grew up using porn regularly start from an unhealthy mindset that views their romantic partner as a mere means to an end. This selfish attitude paves the way for future relationships and marriages fraught with distrust, leading the typically female partner to wonder why she isn't enough.
Okay, so my issue with the last two paragraphs, I'm not a fan of porn. Okay, you're never gonna see me be like, yay, porn at
Right.
all. But the fact that the current modern day porn is like misogyny on steroids, like there is violence in it,
Yeah.
name calling, like unbelievable misogyny. This isn't just
Degradation, humiliation.
right. Like it's not just two people having sex, which is problematic enough, right? But like
Mhm.
it it's not simply because like the guy will watch it and become selfish, which happens, that's bad, but it's because he's being like he's it's like making him objectify women, and it's making
Right.
him view them as like receptacles and
Right.
nothing.
And his in real life girlfriend or wife is not being the female
Mm,
appliance that is
right.
in the
There
porn
is
he consumes.
literally no care to female pleasure in any of this stuff. None.
And on a, and not even like pleasure, like not even comfort or
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah, it's like literally discomfort and pain.
right.
Like, and that's what gets these guys off. And that's what trains like these young boys to get off to. And now they're trying to choke their junior year girlfriends while they
Yep.
make out with her. And it's like just incredibly terrible,
Yep.
especially for the girls. And of course, it's going to drive a wedge because you've got
Mm-hmm.
these guys that don't see their teenage girlfriends as like people
Mm-hmm.
with feelings, you know?
Mm-hmm. Have mercy.
Oh,
Let's learn about the solution here.
yeah.
Apparently.
Mm,
Um, Authentic friendships. So, if we've created a generation of people who have eschewed physical intimacy for the mirage of digital intimacy, it might seem that the future is bleak. Americans are getting married at a later and later age, which indicates that it is taking longer for young adults to feel ready for commitment. Sex and relationships are not as straightforward as they once were, so our over sexualized culture has left a generation feeling lost on how to build healthy bonds with one another. This is why teens are so tired of seeing sex and even relationships on the screen, calling it overused by TV and movie writers. Our young people see it everywhere, but don't have a true understanding of what healthy relationships are meant to be like.
well, sure, because the sex scenes on TV are um a reflection of the over sexualized and porn culture. Like
Mhm.
most of the sex scenes you see on like the prestige shows or the movies, it's not going to be like a loving depiction between a couple, really. It's going to be
Mhm.
like a hot scene, where he's like slamming her up against a wall or something. It's
Ugh.
it's just, it's obviously not, it's mild because it's for TV, right? It's not going to be like full porn, but like it's informed by those attitudes. So you get like misogyny light in those
Mhm.
scenes. It's not if I was a teenage girl watching, like, seeing all my male classmates watch all this violent porn and then tuning into my favorite TV show and still seeing like women servicing men basically in
Yeah.
sex scenes, and like nothing is about their comfort. Like how often is like eating a woman out depicted on screen? Like how often is that even hinted at? Not
Oh, yeah.
very.
No,
Not
never.
very, right? I mean, maybe a handful if you dig for it, but like, yeah, so you've got, of course they're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be like, there's too much sex and everything now. But I'm not advocating for like, softcore sex scenes, but like the nature of it is also important. It's not
Mhm.
just the sex scene, it's how it's depicted. It's like
Mhm. The
how are the women,
context.
right? How the context, like, so many listen, I don't seek them out, but like the ones I've seen, it's like the guy's just like on top of her, and then all of a sudden she's like in ecstasy, no foreplay, no nothing. It's like, is that
Yeah.
realistic?
No.
Is no.
Yeah, but then yeah, and then girls and young women expect like that's just what sex is or it's supposed to be, and they're
Yeah,
dissatisfied and even hurt physically, emotionally, mentally. But that's
right.
just what sex is, and they often internalize that and think that there's something wrong with them because they don't enjoy it or they don't feel fulfilled, etc.
Right. At best, it's going to be a very like unimpressive experience. It's going to
Right.
be some boy jackhammering for a minute, and then she's like, "Is that it? Is that what's supposed to make me like scream and
Mhm.
cry and like these women on TV?" Because that ain't what it felt like at all.
Mhm. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
what
agree.
can,
Ice Goddess. I don't like them either.
yeah, same.
They were just awkward. I don't know.
So, what can be done? The answer lies in the very thing that over 50% of Gen Z is asking to be represented in their media: friendships. Young people, especially teens, deeply desire true friendship. Well, you're not going to get it through your screen, though.
No.
Anyway, having friends helps adolescents learn the life skills necessary for adulthood, which includes an understanding of what a future romantic relationship or marriage might look like. Friends are key in the social and emotional development of a teenager, and much of Gen Z is missing out on this crucial element of growing up. An astonishing 73% of them say they feel alone. Even though they're more connected than any other teen generation due to social media, they're also lonelier than ever.
Yeah.
Fixing this problem includes creating media which represents friendship, not romance or sex, as the most important aspect of adolescence. Parents have a role to play in protecting their children from the dangerous effects of pornography, and schools and communities must encourage teens to spend more of their time face to face with one another rather than on a screen. As a culture, we must show Gen Z what it looks like to have authentic friendships and loving relationships, as it has become clear to them that they are only being offered a digital counterfeit.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. But then I have to question, if you've got the male population being trained to see the female population as objects and receptacles.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have co-ed friend groups in high school. It wasn't a
Yeah.
big deal. Like, I'm not at, I mean, whatever. You don't be friends with guys if you don't want to be, but like there's no friendship really
Mm-hmm.
to be had in high school where all the kids just congregate together. You separate out based on your interests mostly. At least
Yeah.
that's how it was for me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Like boys and girls, whatever, we're all in band together, we're all in drama together, whatever. But is that really possible now with all this like hyper pornography culture going on? Like, and
Yeah,
then
when everyone has porn in their pockets, literally, because their phone,
right.
like,
So then you've got the groups divided, and you've got the boys like being very harassing and violent to the other half of the population. And it just drives a wedge, and then the girls internalize this, and I don't know.
yeah. Well, Green Emerald says a lot of men cannot befriend women because they'll only get close to women they want to sleep with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also why a lot of men think that any girl or woman who is nice to them must want to fuck because they would only be nice or pleasant to a woman that they want to sleep with.
Yeah. But I feel like that problem has, and I'm going to sound like an old lady too. It's not just you, but I feel like that problem's gotten way worse in the
Oh,
past few
yeah.
decades, because it didn't it didn't really used to be like that, like back in the 90s. You had a few of those guys, don't get me wrong, like they were the weirdos. You know, you just like you smile at them one time and they're like, "Oh, she must like me." But for the most part, it was pretty chill for the most part. And you could like hang out with all kinds of people and it wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, yeah, sometimes you caught feelings in the friend group or whatever, but it wasn't like every boy was only interested
Yeah.
in that from the girls like at all times. It what you know, I think that the internet and the porn culture has really like increased the number of the guys that are like, "Oh, she twirled her hair that one time. That's an
Yeah.
indicator of interest." Like,
Oh my God. This one time, Reddit night, I read this Reddit thread. It was like on my favorite subreddit of all, No Stupid Questions.
oh
Um,
yeah.
I learned so much on that stuff. But anyway, this one time this guy posted about how this he's a university student, not even high school. He posted about how um a girl in his class made eye contact with him.
I think I saw
Therefore,
that.
therefore she must be in love with him. And
Yes.
everyone in the comments was like, "Bro, stop."
Yeah.
And he was doubling down like he would not let go and he's like, "But she made eye contact with me. She held my gaze." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh no."
That's the shit I mean. Like it really didn't used to be like that back
Yeah.
in the like yeah, occasionally you'd have those weird boys, but like
Yeah.
for the most part, you were considered weird if you did that.
Yeah.
But
Um,
now it's like and that's not the only Reddit thread I've read. There was one
yeah.
of them, and I forget it whether it was "Am I the asshole" or whatever, but there was one of them. A guy was convinced his brother's girlfriend
Oh,
liked
no.
him romantically because she was nice to him. And one time she sat in the back of a vehicle with him in the back seat and like made
Oh
conversation.
my God.
And when he hit on her, obviously she got pissed. His brother got pissed, and they both like didn't talk to him, you know, and he was so sure that she was into him and wanted to dump his brother for him. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. Alpha says, guys who think every micro interaction is a come on are dangerous, to be honest.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
couple comments I wanted to look at. Poor Gravity Onyx
Mm.
said, I'm in my senior year of high school right now. I attest to all this.
Oh
Oh,
man, I'm so sorry.
when they say friends with benefits, who is really benefiting?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the friends with benefits stuff.
No.
No.
Another thing that's hard about now is that the women defend porn way more than before. It's awful. Hmm.
Wow.
Uh, Men are so scary and unpredictable. You never know what is going through their heads.
Yeah.
Ew. Lest we remember, oh my God. A guy's pastor called me once because I had said no twice, but he needed to check one more time. Jesus
Ew.
Christ.
Ugh.
The inability of men to read our body language, I think they're just ignoring it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they feel entitled to a woman, and they really don't see us as people. Like that's the
Hmm.
crux of the issue. We are
Hmm.
objects to earn, or they just have to input the right cheat code or say the right thing, incantations of the magic words, and then we're theirs.
This was
Oh,
that thing I was talking about earlier. So men try to guess if scenarios are porn or Me Too stories. Boy.
this is going to be
It's really short and quick, but it's just, yeah. So, a new video shows men presented with a range of sexual scenarios and having to determine whether they are from pornography or a Me Too story. It's a video project featuring men discussing the recent Me Too campaign and ways men can join the fight against sexual violence. The men are visibly uncomfortable as they read aloud certain scenarios, including the following. I came home late from a party. My stepdad was waiting in the kitchen. He was mad at me for being late and wanted to punish me. He told me to be quiet and nobody in the house would hear me. He had sex with me in the kitchen. Or, I was sleeping in my dorm room alone. Two guys walked in and started touching me. I was confused. I didn't say anything. They both had sex with me. The men struggle to distinguish porn scripts from real sexual assault situations. One observes, that feels like a sexual assault. Another speculates that the situation before him is a Me Too story. At the conclusion of the video, it is revealed that all of the scenarios were taken from pornography.
Yep. I figured that would be the twist because when I
Yeah.
read those scenarios, I was like, those sound like real assaults. But then
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what's the goal of this project?
Uh-huh. So yeah, this does not come as a surprise. Mainstream pornography is dominated by acts of violence against women. Common sex acts in pornography, like fellatio-induced gagging, heterosexual anal sex, and multiple penetrations, are not enjoyable for many women, but are degrading, painful, and humiliating. An analysis of the most rented pornographic films found that 88% of scenes included physical aggression, with perpetrators being primarily men and targets overwhelmingly women.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it mean when pornography, the primary form of sexual education for young people, is indistinguishable from real-life sexual abuse of women? What does it mean for women and girls? What does it mean for men and boys watching this content regularly and from childhood? What is the impact on sexuality, intimate relationships, and attitudes towards women when men and boys are socialized to find enjoyment in the abuse of women?
Mm-hmm.
Defenders of pornography assert that pornography is about freedom. But whose freedom?
Not
Yeah,
women's.
no.
Nope.
God. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah. It's
Ugh.
heavy shit, man.
There was something. mm,
Hmm?
I don't know. I thought there was something that made me. I maybe had a thought, but I don't remember what I was going to say now.
Oh.
Hello,
I-
Muxley.
no, not the mucks.
Ooh, this is I want to point this out from Ice Goddess. It's a fantasy. And
It's
the
not
thing is they always argue this, but no, it's a real human woman who is being
though.
slapped in that video. It's a real human woman who is having her face spat on. It's a
Yeah.
real human woman who's being shoved down by her neck. Like
Yep.
it's not a fantasy. Those are real women.
Right. Right. I had this, I think I've mentioned this before, but I argued with someone on Reddit a long time ago about this when he was trying to say like what's the difference porn versus sex scenes in movies? Like it's the same thing. It's all a fantasy. It's fake. It's movie magic. And I was like, no,
No.
actually. If you go behind the scenes on movie sex scenes, they have coordinators.
Yeah.
A lot of
Intimacy
time,
coordinators,
right.
choreographers, like it's choreographed.
Right.
Um,
And they wear
yeah.
like they wear genital covers
Yeah.
or underwear even, but the camera, avoids that so it looks like they're naked.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, maybe the kissing is real and stuff, but like everything else is not. They're not actually doing it. So
Right.
it's totally different.
Yeah, it's not a fantasy. It's
Mm-mm.
real women. And
Yeah, and you've mentioned many times about how the women are coerced into doing things that they
mhm,
weren't going to do. They arrived maybe thinking they were going to do a sex scene, but the stuff that they make them do during without
yeah.
going like running it by them first, like the really degrading and painful stuff, and then afterwards they coerce them to sign a waiver that they agree to it or they won't get paid.
Yeah, like a big
Like,
thing in the quote unquote adult industry is that to avoid lawsuits or claims of rape and stuff, um, female performers are filmed on camera before anything happens, saying, I'm consenting to shooting this scene today.
yeah.
And then after the scene is over, they're filmed on camera saying, I consented to everything that happened today and I feel fine about it. And if
Mhm.
she does not do that, she does not get paid.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
anything could have happened in the in between of those two clips, and
Yeah.
all the time it does happen
Yep.
that it's extremely violent or it's stuff she would never have consented to. But if she
Right.
doesn't say that it was fine, she won't get paid. So like
Right. Exactly. I mean,
when
she
you
may
need
have
to pay
even
rent, like fuck.
right, she might have gone there thinking she was just gonna do a regular, quote unquote, regular sex scene, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're like bringing in a few extra guys and all this stuff, and it's like nothing what she asked. They didn't tell her anything about what was happening.
Mhm. It's so awful. I ugh, cannot believe that it's like a multi-billion dollar industry.
Yeah, me
It's
either.
sickening.
It's like misogyny is the biggest industry of all,
Mm,
which is really disheartening to realize. Like
yeah.
porn and prostitution, like those
Yep.
two things,
Yep.
trafficking and all that stuff.
Yep. I actually recently, because a couple Andrea Dworkin books came into reprint in
Yeah, did they come
February.
in yet?
Yes, I received them. I bought all three, and one of them is Pornography. So I will be reading that shortly.
I like her writing about pornography.
Me
She's
too.
so savage. Like
She's
the
a
way
great
she
writer.
writes. Yeah, it's so visceral. There's no sugarcoating it with Dworkin. Like she just tells it exactly how it is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Ooh, Lee says, even if we assume the actress was properly informed, are we really going to pretend an 18-year-old girl can give meaningful consent? And I will further that, Lee, and say,
Yeah.
how are we ever going to possibly pretend that consent can be purchased? Like, like these 18-year-old girls or any woman in pornography may probably not do any of this stuff if it weren't for the money.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
Right. Like that's one of my biggest arguments against the porn industry is you can't purchase, and same with like prostitution. You
Right.
cannot purchase somebody's yes. If the absence of money means they would never say yes to that, then that's not really actually consent.
Yeah. Yeah, if they wouldn't want to do it without money on the table,
Right.
it's not real. It's not real consent.
Yep. Oh yes,
Yeah.
a film
Yeah.
Deep Throat is all rape. I actually 2 years ago, it was like the whateverth anniversary of that film. Um, and I went to a protest at a theater that was showing the movie. I made a video about it on my channel. If anyone cares to look at that.
Yeah, she came out a number of years ago and said that that
Yes.
was literally her rape. Like, she did not
Yes.
consent to any of that.
No. And that
And her
quite
husband did it.
yes, and quite literally there was a man, sometimes her husband, pointing a gun at her behind camera so that she would do the stuff.
Ugh.
Like, I'm speechless. Like,
Yeah,
that's horrifying. And so when people say, like, oh, it's all consensual when you're in the adult industry, is it consensual when someone is literally pointing a gun at you to get you to perform?
right. And a lot of these guys will be
No.
like, but she clearly liked it. Look, she's smiling. She's enjoying herself. Like, you think that can't be faked? You're an idiot.
Right. Yeah, I could do a lot if someone's pointing a gun at me.
Right. Yeah,
Like, oh
exactly.
my God. Oh my God. Hit up the DMs, Sasha. You know where to find me. Well, and that's the thing. I bet 99% of men knew that about porn. They would still jerk off to it. And they do.
Of course. Yeah.
I have been on Reddit threads or elsewhere on the internet where like the question is like, if you don't watch porn, why not? Like that's some outlier or whatever.
Yeah, like you're weird for not.
Yeah. And I've said shit like, in order to consume pornography, you have to be comfortable with the fact that you could be watching an actual rape. And I
Right.
have had so many men reply and say that they are comfortable with the chance that it could be
Of
because
course.
they want to watch. And
I
so
mean, look at some high
they
profile
don't.
rape and no, like some of the like remember that doctor in India that got raped and murdered and there was
Yes.
rumors that there was footage of it?
Yeah, that was like the number one Pornhub search that day.
Right. Guys that's what they wanted to find. They
Right.
knew it was not consensual. It was a rape and murder, but that's what turned their crank, I guess. They wanted to find it. So like whenever they try to gaslight you and be like, no, I think they really enjoy it. First, they're lying. They know that it's not enjoyable that's part of the appeal. They know it's not enjoyable. Like if it was totally like, for argument's sake, if it was totally like very joyful and consensual and she was getting a lot of like pleasure from it and
Yep.
enjoying it, I feel like their boners would just go way down because that's not what they're there for. There's a
Yeah.
reason that it went from like Playboy naked lady spreads back in the 70s and 80s to like
Yep.
hardcore misogyny where they're slapping them and calling them names and like being extremely degrading, because that's what the guys want.
Yeah. Wasn't there also like a study or something about how men cannot tell the difference between a woman's moans of pleasure and cries of pain?
I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't see
They,
that study, but
yeah, I remember reading it. So I wish I could find it. I just tried to Google and I couldn't. But yeah, that they cannot tell the difference. Much like that thing we just said about the Me Too versus porn scenarios. It's the same kind of concept. Like men were presented with a woman crying in pain or a woman genuinely moaning in pleasure, and they
yeah,
could not tell the difference. And
unbelievable.
yeah, it all seemed good to them.
Yeah, they're not discerning. They don't care. Count Catchula, yeah. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised because a lot of these guys, they hate women and they take out their misogyny. This is like an outlet for the misogyny for them.
Mm,
Yep. The producers and the consumers.
yep. The Green Emerald says, I feel part of that is feminist backlash. Like they hate that women are gaining rights, so the degrading porn is a way to put us in our place.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. There's a lot of different multi-pronged assaults in the form of a backlash. You've got the hyper porn culture, you've got the Project 2025 stuff,
Mm.
you know, the all the articles about the birth rate and marriage rate and babies, and everybody needs to go back to the kitchen, all us women need to go back to the kitchen. Like it's all a backlash all together.
Yep.
Yeah, I know about Ellie Arrow, Salad Caesar.
Yes, I love Ellie.
I've
She's
seen a bunch of her stuff. I've got to take her stuff is like really heavy though. I got to take breaks.
yeah, she goes deep into
Does.
primarily quote unquote sex work in the
It's
form of
like
prostitution, but
it's like existentially torturous for me. Like, oh my God.
oh, what's really scary is that porn is on the low end of male sexual violence. Men know that when they go to a brothel, they're paying a pimp to rape a woman.
Yeah, Lee, I've actually read punter accounts, like
Yeah. Oh, Ellie Arrow does that. She
yep.
collects, yeah, she has a lot of work on that. And like some of the, oh, I remember reading one where a guy was just like, she just kind of laid there and it didn't seem like she was really enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, no shit, you fucking sick freak.
right. I read one where he went in and she was like crying and upset.
Yeah.
And
And
he
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 wanted a
has
refund or something.
well, no, he hesitated and like his account said that he kind of felt bad because she was crying, but he ended up doing it anyway. And then um like the end of his account was more disappointment that he didn't feel like he got his money's worth because she was crying.
That's horrifying. How like
Right.
that's proof right there. They do not see women as
Mm-mm.
human beings.
In the beginning of his account, you kind of hoped that maybe some of his humanity would surface and he would maybe just sit with her and like not do anything to her. But no, no, he hesitated for a bit. He let her cry a bit, and then he just went ahead and did what he was paid to do. And
Oh,
that was like, I read that and I was like, well, there you go. You can't pretend. You can't pretend like these women want you, that you're not
oops.
committing human rights violations.
Yeah. Ugh, that's horrifying.
It really is.
Oh,
It's horrifying to like to see another human being do that and then just like do it anyway. Like just go ahead. Even though your conscience is like tickling you, but you're like, nah, nah.
would you consider talking about the Oscars and about Honora and Mikey Madison winning against older actresses and Mikey thanking sex workers in her speech? Yeah. Did you watch the
Mm,
Academy Awards
I did
existential game?
not. I don't know
Okay.
anything about this.
I didn't either. So I watched, and I had never heard of this film or this actress. But anyway, the film that won Best Picture was called Honora, and it's about a prostitute.
Hmm.
Um, and the Best Actress winner was the woman who plays her. Her name is Mikey Madison. And she like, yeah, she thanked sex workers for all that they do or whatever the fuck. But I saw something in reaction to that. I just have to find it.
This is
Uh,
like this is peak lib femme right
yeah,
here.
well, and the thing too is like it. This one against, Wicked was nominated, and that's about true, deep female friendship. Or The Substance was nominated, and that's about women aging and Demi
Yeah.
Moore. Um, anyway, I saw a quote. Let me find it because I can easily. I saw on Twitter someone wrote regarding Honora winning because it's all about sex work and romanticizing it. Because
Yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think the prostitute in the film like falls in love, quote unquote, with her John.
So it's like Pretty Woman 2.0.
Yeah, I think so. But I saw on Twitter somebody said this is an organized propaganda campaign on behalf of rapist Hollywood executives to normalize their sexual predation as simply procuring sex with money. They want you to honor sex work so they can keep their grooming, sex trafficking without legal consequences. And I was like,
Ah,
damn,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
crazy.
I don't put anything past those bastards because
Hmm.
they've been in the hot seat a little bit with social media. Certain guys, Neil Gaiman and all that.
Oh,
But yeah, everything's a psyop. I swear to God.
oh yeah. Also, there was a Tim among the nominees for Best Actress.
Of course, nobody makes
Um,
a better woman than a man.
indeed, indeed. Um, that Oh, interesting. I saw that Mikey Madison was the 12th actress to win Best Actress for a role playing a prostitute.
Oh, that is that. Oh, that's fascinating.
Best
Hmm.
Actress, prostitution. I'm Googling. Uh, 14 actors who won Oscars for playing sex workers. Let's see here. Uh, Janet Gaynor. She won 2 or 3 Oscars.
Hmm.
She Gaynor won the first ever Oscar. Oh yeah, she was the first ever Best Female Actor winner. That's
All
crazy.
right.
Helen
Yeah.
Haynes, Ann Baxter, Claire Trevor, Donna Reed, Joe Van Fleet, Susan Hayward, Shirley Jones, Elizabeth Taylor, Jane Fonda, Mira Sorvino, Kim Basinger, Charlize
Mhm.
Theron, Emma Stone, and Mikey Madison.
I mean,
That's,
Charlize, she played Eileen Wuornos.
yeah.
That's a little
I mean, but she was a prostitute. But
true.
she's also playing a real person. It's a bio.
True. And I would not call that movie glamorizing uh,
No.
prostitution in any way. I think it was very
Mhm.
non-glamorizing, very gritty. But
Yeah.
yeah, Dragon Fox, I agree that they want the trans stuff accepted, but it's because it blurs boundaries. I
Hmm.
don't think a lot of the elites or whatever, the Hollywood mucky mucks really care about trans per se, but they love men like
Yeah.
parading as women because it erodes women's rights and boundaries, and that's enough for them. They'll be like, "Yeah, queen, yeah, girl, slay. You are the best woman."
Ugh.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
because it like like we mentioned, like the chat mentioned before, it's about putting us in our place, and whatever way they can do that, they'll do it. You know?
Mhm. Aw, thanks, Lee.
Oh.
That's so
Lee is
nice.
the patron saint of your
Patron
channel.
saint of my channel, yes. Pray to Lee. That's so nice.
I know patron saint might be the wrong term, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. She's my big Hollywood funder.
Yes, your investor.
Yeah, very kindly. You're so lovely. Um, Rich people are so detached from commoners. That's why they're more accepting of the tea community.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Fuck everything, honestly. Ugh.
No, no. Is there something more lighthearted we can read?
I'm happy to just chat about whatever, but no, the conversation's good. I appreciate everybody in the chat for all of your insight. Speaking of the Neil Gaiman thing, I saw that there have been, I think, officially charges brought forth him and his wife.
Good. I gotta sneeze. Hold on.
Go, go, go.
Ugh. Okay.
Let's see here. I think there was officially charges made on both of them. That expose that was written about him last month or maybe in January is the worst thing I have ever read.
Yeah, I have yet to read it. I know
Yeah,
you told me about it, but
I think if anyone chooses to read it, like, please be careful
ugh.
because I was not prepared for what I was about to read. And then throughout my reading, I was like saying what the fuck out loud and like gasping out loud. Like,
And that's saying something because you and I are alike in that we've been online a long time. Okay. We have not much surprises us, right?
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
worst thing I've ever read.
exactly, Lee. That's why I never trust like guys getting
No.
online and being like, that's actually more of a red flag than a guy that's like, what, a feminist? What? What's that? Or I'm a guy, I'm not a feminist, whatever. Rather than a guy that's like, yes, I'm a feminist. I love women.
Mhm.
I was raised by a single mother. I respect women so much. Why don't you come to my house?
Ugh.
Yeah. No, thank you. Have you read Bell Hooks? I read Bell Hooks.
Ew. Yeah, Count Catula Scarlet. That's the one I read. Was her.
Wait, turf propaganda? The fuck? How is that? Do I need more context for this? Like, how is it any way turf propaganda to explain how a man sexually abused you?
Yeah, feel free to expand, Count Catula, on that, please.
Yeah. Like, that's just weird. That just seems like they throw the word turf out to just discredit anyone. We know this, but it's just kind of an odd usage of it to describe a woman explaining how a man is abusing her. Like, there's no trans really anywhere in that narrative. So where's the turf come in? Weird.
It was Salad Caesar. She was interviewed for the expose. Like a journalist wrote her story. Basically, I don't remember where I read it the first time. I think it was in Variety magazine, maybe on their website. But anyway, yeah, just
Oh
go
my
into it with
God.
caution.
Oh, okay. So Tori and Count Patula have both kind of clarified that.
Oh my
Yeah, that's
God,
so
get
brain
real.
dead. You know what this should tell us? That any like straight dude that's all about the trans agenda is probably very sketchy. So beware. Oh, I support trans this, trans that. I don't know. It's the same as the male feminist to me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm very leftist. I'm a male feminist and I love trans ideology. Like, ugh.
Gross.
Yeah. Smear David Tennant because he's outspoken about trans stuff and was in Neil Gaiman's show. Okay, that I don't see how that's relevant to Scarlett's story.
All of these like tales they spin, it can't possibly be about the trauma, violence, assault, and terror a woman experienced. It has to be.
It can't just be Scarlett's story of what happened to her at the hands of this man. Like they've got to deflect and like put up these straw men. You know, ridiculous. It's a diversionary tactic. Yeah, virtual cabbage. That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm. It's so frustrating. Like,
yep.
I always revert back to my Fiona Apple quote. There's no hope for women.
Yep. Sometimes I'll even see on Reddit some young woman writing in like, oh, my boyfriend, he says he's feminist, but he did this horrible thing. And I hear the Jaws theme starting to play like,
yeah, literally.
Run away.
Nairar, I don't know if I've said that right. I'm so sorry. But what do we think of this? Still trying to decide what I should do with the books I own by Gaiman or any other male abuser. Like, what do you like? If you already own the stuff, like
give them to Goodwill. I don't know. Throw them out. Throw them away.
Yeah.
Give them to Goodwill.
If you already own it, though, like, you know, it's not like you're giving money to him again. Like,
no. But if you don't want them in your house, you can either toss it or give them to Goodwill.
Oh, for sure.
Or something. If you can't bring yourself to toss a book, I know, you know, sometimes people have a hard time with that. No matter what, because it's a book. But yeah, I can see not wanting it on your shelf. Sure.
Yeah. Male feminist is the misogynistic version of I'm not racist. It's male feminist is I have black friends.
I was just gonna say, but I have black friends. Yeah.
My best friend is black. Okay.
So therefore, everything I say is correct.
Oh, Drew says, my view on hi Drew. I remember we had a good chat a few streams ago about your stuff. Welcome back. My view on trans has changed drastically. I'm conflicted on transitioning for adults. I'm detrans and started T at 21, but at the same time, live and let live. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Drew, I remember you too.
Yes.
Yeah, good to see you back. I'm with you. Like, I know I've heard the arguments against all transition, adult included, and it's not like I don't disagree. Or, no, it's not like I disagree, but I'm definitely more on the side of like, well, once you're an adult and if you have the means to pay for, I think it's butchery either way. But people also undergo cosmetic surgery that I think is unnecessary too.
Yeah, I ultimately think cosmetic surgery or transition for adults is a bad move.
Yeah.
But I do also think an adult should be able to do what they want,
right?
Even if I don't agree with it. I also think it speaks to something underlying, whether it is a nose job or a double mastectomy because you identify in a different way or you don't identify with the body you have, right? Like there's something else underlying that should be addressed, and surgery or synthetic hormones is not going to cure the underlying issue.
Exactly. It's like how like a woman wanting to get like a boob job and a nose job is like it's misogyny that's causing it. Right. You know, the body image issues stemming from those expectations. It's not, you know, it's not about her getting the surgery per se. Like, obviously, if I was close to someone, I loved them, I would highly advise them not to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like they're adults. You can't control it. Like unless they make it totally illegal.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a great idea, but
especially the irreversible kind of surgery, you know?
Yep. Or women taking testosterone. It's irreversible too. But so definitely 100% no for anyone under the age of 18. And frankly, I kind of think it should be 25 when your brain is done cooking. But
I think so too. They don't let you rent a hotel or a car
right.
under
But you
25.
can definitely have your breasts removed. That's no
Right.
problem.
At least I
Shocking.
don't know how it is in Canada, but like I have a kid and he's 20 and he can't just get an Airbnb or rent a car.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, it even though you can go die in a war, yeah, can't rent a car though. But you
Yeah.
can also you can chop off your wiener if you
Yeah.
want.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I also, well, I do wish that when it comes to transition for adults, even, um, I do wish it was harder, I guess, like it used to be 20 years
Right.
ago, where you had to have been quote unquote living as your desired
Right.
gender, or you had to have been on hormones for a year, or you had to have a
Yeah.
letter from a psychiatrist and a doctor. Like
Yeah.
now, you can literally just walk into Planned Parenthood and say, I'm trans, and you'll leave with a prescription that day. Like,
Right.
I I think that is really dangerous.
Yeah, they used to check for comorbidities like, body dysmorphia disorders and like depression, anxiety, all that stuff. They used to check for that and make sure that it wasn't something else maybe causing these like, obsessive thoughts.
Mhm.
So they'd have to see a therapist or a psychiatrist for I think a year or two. I don't know exactly which
Yeah.
one. To make sure, quote unquote, make sure this
Yeah,
is what they really wanted to do.
right.
And I think that's pretty reasonable because you can't get those parts back once you cut them off,
Right.
And if you take tea, like tea wreaks havoc on female bodies. Like you can't reverse that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't think estrogen is as permanently
No,
damaging
it's not
to
at
men.
all.
No.
No,
Um,
if a man, like if he hasn't had his balls removed,
right,
but if he's
right.
taking testosterone blockers and stops taking estrogen, he will completely revert back to what he was naturally. But that's
Yeah,
not the case for a woman who stops taking testosterone. She
yeah,
will be permanently altered.
right. Yep. It's just,
Crazy.
and I
Scary.
hate the fact that being cautious and thinking about things is branded as hate or gatekeeping.
Right.
Like it's not hate to think about a really permanent procedure you're going to do or a course of medicine that you can't reverse.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, Drew.
Yep.
What happened to the Hippocratic Oath?
Yep. Yeah. Ugh, that's crazy. Um, Count Catula said something up here. Where is it? Oh, I wish the trans community would be more honest about surgeries. I'm so tired of seeing young
Mm,
women throw around the term top surgery like it's no big deal. Yeah, no, it's like a radical double mastectomy.
right.
It's not
Well,
just top surgery.
we have okay, so this is kind of a tangent, but just today I watched a Hannah Alonso video about it was like 90 minutes of influencers lying to you. I rec
Oh,
I recommend it if any of y'all are interested in like how influencers lie to you, right? So there's this culture where we're all lying online about our lives, and then you've got the trans community and anyone who speaks actual truth about the complications they're going through, they
yep.
get totally piled on
Yes.
and castigated by the community, right? So
Mhm.
there not just the trans community, but there's like this internet wide like don't tell us the truth, lie to us, like
Block and stay safe.
right, block and stay safe, yeah.
Yep.
So they don't they they don't leave room for the truth, you know.
Hmm.
If someone's brave enough to speak out, that's great, but they're going to face the consequences of
Yeah.
that.
Well, and the fact that a lot of the like super online trans crowd is so of that mindset that like yeah, block and stay safe, don't read, don't look, like
Yeah.
whatever. That is kind of scary. Like you should have access to all of the information in order to make a decision, but
Yeah.
they don't want that, which is really crazy
Well,
to me.
they see it as hate. They see thinking about it, pondering it, weighing your options as gatekeeping and transphobia, and they don't want it. And um, some of them even talk about their complications.
Yeah.
I forget who it was. It was a woman, right? A tiff. And she was documenting the most horrific side effects from her surgeries. But at the end, she was always like, yeah, but I wouldn't dissuade anyone from doing this. This surgery still was the best thing for me. And I'm not speaking out against it. If you feel like it's something you have to do, you should do it. Even though all of her vlogs were like a horror show of everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, self-policing and outside policing too. Like if you try to speak out, they will come for you.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Uh, yeah, it's really awful. Who asked a question? Alpha asked, do you ever think that Tims have resentment toward TIFs for the ease at which they pass?
Well, we've talked about passing a lot, I feel like,
Yeah.
past streams. And while tips might pass superficially, like from a distance, because some of them can grow beards and stuff. And when you're at the grocery store and you pass somebody with a full beard and you're not really looking at them,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to be like, that's a woman.
Yeah. Or an
But,
Instagram picture. But,
right.
but then when you see that person and they're 5'3", you're like, oh,
Right. Yeah, so you get close, and then I kinda made the joke I always make, too, is that the tiffs are always, like, the tiniest ladies. They're always,
mm,
like, super tiny and elfin and, like, 5 foot nothing, and 'cause I'm a tall, big lady, right? You don't really see, like, big mommies transitioning, like the 6 feet tall,
yeah, where are the 6 feet tall
like
trans females?
right, like they'd make, pretty passable dudes, they got the height for it, the bigger bodies, but it's I mean, I'm generalizing, but like the ones I've noticed have always been like the most delicate,
Hmm.
like like for lack of a better word, like feminine, I
Yeah.
guess. And I just think it's a really funny trend that like you just never see like a really
Mm,
rough around the edges, big woman be like, you know what? I'm a fucking dude. I'm gonna transition.
right.
No.
Yeah, I think you get like the normal, like run of the mill lesbian who transitions because
Mm,
she was like a tomboy and whatever.
yeah.
Or and they're just like the most quote unquote normal like trans guys. Or you get the really delicate elfin feminine
Yeah.
ones who transition because they want to be twinky gay boys.
Yeah, that's just sad.
Yes.
You read too much yaoi. You need to put down the AO3. Ice Goddess made a good point too, and it's always the big hulking dudes that try to transition into women.
Where did she say that? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for real.
Like it's the opposite. So you've got these giant ass guys like trying to be like, I'm a pretty lady.
Hmm. Even the
Yeah.
most passing are given away by their small hands. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I knew women in the army, and these women were both straight and lesbian. And
Hmm.
they were far more like quote unquote butch than any tiff that I've ever
Hmm.
seen online. Like these women could run circles around as far as like being masculine, I guess, if
Yeah.
for whatever that's worth. These women were obviously women, and I don't really believe in masculinity or femininity. It's just stereotypes for me, but like still, like these women weren't under no delusion. They're women. They're just like tough as shit. They're comfortable with that. They're not
Yeah.
they're not sitting there thinking like, what's my actual gender? Like I don't feel like I wear enough pink.
Oh, so reductive and silly.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
Hmm. It is. Oy.
Yeah, alfalfa for sure. They are definitely weird basement dwellers. They want to transition into their anime waifu,
Oh.
and it's a big part of the draw for them.
Mm. Yeah, and I think men and women transition for entirely different reasons. Like,
Oh yeah.
um, primarily, like it seems that men transition because they're fetishizing. Like they have, what is the term for the fetish?
Autogynephilia.
Thank you. Yeah, that. Whereas it seems like women transition to get away from something or themselves or
Yeah.
trauma
Yeah, I would agree with that. Or they read too much yaoi.
or that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
Yeah.
just over identify with the
Autoandrophilia,
I
I
think it's just
guess.
different though.
I
I've
do think it's
heard
different too.
yeah, I've heard that term, right, to compare with the Tims that have
Yeah.
autogynephilia, but it's less like vulgar and like visceral.
Right.
It's more like fantastical, like in their
I
mind.
agree. Yes.
Yeah, like the men are like gooning. They're like, yeah, I'm just
Hmm.
like I'm in this fetish and it's all about the spinny skirt and the underwear and like the fantasy, but like I
Hmm.
don't get that same vibe, not even from like the Fujoshis, not even from the diehard
I
yaoi.
completely agree. And I just had a thought that like the Fujoshi types, like it almost like because they are attracted to men, right? And it almost
Yeah.
seems like this is just a theory I'm having right now. Um, Male sexuality toward a female or themselves as a female is too threatening, too scary, too intimidating. But if they can transition and be twinky gay boys, that they would then consider that that's male sexuality on male sexuality, and that's not as scary or threatening as or intimidating.
Well, yeah. But then that bleeds over into why some of the other TIFs transition to escape misogyny, right? So if
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
male if het relationships weren't depicted as so unequal and the
Hmm.
woman being punished for her sexuality and like degraded, then would these hardcore yaoi fans be so uncomfortable being a woman?
Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
The internalized misogyny, like these women generally don't they hate any women in their stories. Like they're like, get her out of here.
Yep.
He's got a lot of issues being a woman and seeing other women.
Yes. Yes. I think we're onto something. We're solving it here.
We've done it.
Existential gamer and radical ramblings solve the world's problems.
Yes. Anoint us queens of the world. We'll fix everything.
Mm.
Actually, you might. I don't.
I don't know about
I'll be
that.
like, you can run it. I'll just be over here.
So Drew said, I transitioned because of shame. I felt a lot of shame as a child imposed on me by others, mostly family, for being masculine. I grew up Catholic. Transition was a way to be masculine and love women. I know
Mhm.
this story
Religious trauma.
very well, Drew. I grew up Catholic as well. I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to grade 12. Um, but I also knew I was a lesbian at quite a young age. I was around 12 when I like really figured it out, and then I came out at 15. Um, and I never transitioned, but I did have like thoughts of like, well, only boys can like girls, so
Mhm.
maybe like when I was figuring myself out, kind of thing. Um, but thankfully, um, my coming out was extremely anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I built it up to be something. It was going to be horrible, but it actually was not. So I am
Yeah.
very grateful for that. Um, my parents were, I think I've talked about this before, but like my parents were Catholic and religious, but they took, they, and my extended family too, who are also Catholic and religious, but they take the road of, I don't buy into religion, but they take the road of like Jesus says to love one another,
Mm.
and it's up to God to decide, and humans on earth have no place judging another person.
Yeah, I mean, that's ideally the way it should be, right?
Right. I'm very thankful that that was the outlook of my parents, my family, etc. Um, and my parents now, like I came out uh, this year will be 22 years ago. Jesus Christ. Um,
We're old.
yeah, I was only 15, and yeah, now my parents are like completely normal. Like it's not even a thing at all.
Do they ever bug you like, hey, when are you going to get a wife? When are you going to get married?
Um,
Do they ever
yeah,
bug you like that? When are you going to settle down?
no, they used to, definitely. They
Get
used
yourself
to.
a nice girl and settle down.
They definitely used to, and they have been on both myself and my sister because they want grandchildren. Um,
Yeah.
but I think in recent years they have come to accept that it's probably not going to happen for them because I have no intention of ever having children or being a parent to children.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister is about to turn 30 and is extremely career focused.
Yeah.
So I think they have kind of accepted that it's not in the cards for them.
Aw. Yeah. Has your sister said that she definitely doesn't, or just that it hasn't happened?
No, she's not definitely a no.
Yeah.
Uh,
It still might happen for her,
yeah,
but I
it might
mean,
happen. She's only
maybe.
29. She'll be 30 later this month. So she's
Yeah.
got plenty of time still if she wants to, but she is very, very career focused and
Yeah.
um
At
which
most, your parents might get like one. One.
yeah,
Like when she's
maybe.
37 and she can send them to Montessori school and like get them into the best schools, like the one grandchild. She's like, okay, this is it. This is my one.
Yes. The
I'm
one.
still I'm still high up in my career. I can afford all this shit. Great.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I would be fine with being an aunt, but you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
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 I think you'd make a good aunt, but you know.
Thanks. I have a like my best friend in the whole world has a child
Mhm.
and I am anti-radical to her kind of thing.
Aw.
So that is nice. Actually she she texted me tonight that her kid said something really, really embarrassing to the waitress. And I just like I love stories about kids just embarrassing the fuck out of their parents and having no clue
Yeah,
that they're doing
they
it.
do that.
They do that. So funny. But
Yep.
yeah.
Make sure that you keep your nose clean if you're a parent, because
Mhm.
your kids will air all of your dirty laundry out. Yep. Yep. Don't do anything embarrassing.
Yep. Yep. Good times. Good times. So yeah. Well,
Just catching up with the chat.
hmm um I'm thinking maybe we'll wrap up shortly here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine.
yeah, a good little hour and a half. I still have to have dinner. Um,
Yes. It's very important.
what's your weekend looking like? Anything exciting?
Well, hopefully I'm gonna get my car back at
Oh
some
yeah.
point. So it's still in the shop, and I have a coffee date with my mom
Oh,
tomorrow.
nice. Very
Yeah.
good. Oh, you know what? I have a lunch date with my parents tomorrow.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Yeah, that's all I'm doing this weekend. And then I should do laundry. Ugh, adult
Mm,
stuff. Um,
you.
but housekeeping on Monday, I am streaming with Rusty.
Ooh.
Two of us. We have a insane and hilarious topic. So it'll
I
be
can't
same
wait.
time, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Monday. Um, it's going to be really funny, and everyone loves Rusty. So Rusty is the star of this channel.
She really is. She's hilarious. Okay, she makes me
I
laugh so
know.
much.
Oh, thanks for coming, Virtual Cabbage. And thanks to everybody in the chat. Um, it's always so nice to see all of the names and you icons and stuff. So yeah, Monday stream that will happen, and I'm sure later in the week, like a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday as usual. We try to
Yeah.
do like start of the week and end of the week streams. I think that's about it. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Existential Gamer.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
welcome. Thank you.
friends. I'll be a cringe YouTuber and ask you to like the stream. And then when it's over, you could refresh and leave a comment.
Remember to
And
like, comment, hit that notification bell so you
yeah,
get all
like,
the
comment, subscribe.
yeah, smash that like button.
Indeed. Okay, have a great evening, a great weekend. Enjoy. See you all on Monday. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.